That's
We have to go live while I'm still chewing lunch.
that,
It works out well because we need to give everyone a minute to get loaded into the meeting. They don't just automatically appear. So we'll give everybody a minute.
well, then,
Before we get started,
well, then you, I think for you, that this thing records, then you post it for people to watch, which I saw, which is very cool. So,
yep. Yeah, we're live now for
Mhm.
our for the TMC network. And then we will repost it at approximately 4 p.m. Eastern time on LinkedIn for the broader industry.
Groovy,
Yeah,
excellent.
cool. Wow, 59 people. I have,
Yeah. Hi, Melanie.
hey,
Amy, Amy will take you backstage. If you turn off your camera, you'll go backstage. Awesome. All right. I think we should go ahead and get started for the sake of time because we have a tremendous amount of information to share with you all today. So, welcome to the SIP. This is where conversation sparks connection, collaboration fuels progress, and industry leaders come together to share ideas, tackle challenges, and inspire change. Of it as meeting for a cup of coffee or joining a friend over a adult beverage where we're just engaging in conversation, but that conversation moves the industry forward. We're super excited that today's episode is sponsored by LoanSense, the borrower Sherpa for student loan debt, helping expand affordability. Here's the reality: nearly half of home buyers today carry student loan debt. It doesn't just weigh on their monthly budget, it directly impacts their ability to qualify for mortgages. On average, we're talking about $400 a month reduction in buying power. That's why I'm thrilled to welcome two guests who are going to walk us through LoanSense and it's changing the game. Kat K, we would never try to pronounce your last name because it would be awful, who's the CEO and founder of LoanSense, on a mission to help home buyers afford more homes by tackling one of the biggest affordability barriers in the market today. And Chris Sorensen, the SVP of Direct Retail Production and longtime TMC member of PRMG, here to share the boots on the ground perspective of why this partnership matters for loan officers and borrowers alike. So, Kat and Chris, welcome to the SIB.
Well, thank you, Jody.
thanks,
I'm so
thanks for having
excited
us.
to have you guys here. The prep was awesome, and we're going to dive right in because there is a lot of information to share. So, Kat, let's start with you. Can you introduce yourself for those in the industry who do not know you, and tell us the problem that LoanSense is solving for the mortgage industry?
Absolutely, Jody, thanks. I'm sure some of you have heard my personal story, but in 2014, I was declined from my first home because of student debt. That was right after Freddie and Fannie had passed rules that say that you can enroll into an income-driven plan and they can reassess your DTI. Very few loan officers knew of that, but I found that out. I got an income-driven plan and closed on my first home a couple months later, and I knew that would be the problem of our generation. So I was in college counseling at the time, and I was helping people get more like debt by going to college, right? And they would come out and be like, "I have no idea what to do with my student loans. I have a payment I can't afford, and I haven't gotten a job yet. What do I do?" And I realized there's really nobody on the other side to help. So when I came out of my MBA, I started LoanSense, and it wasn't until COVID happened that the mortgage industry actually came to us and said, "We have all these people being put on pause, and now we have to use 1% for Fannie, and we're disqualifying so many people. So, can you guys help?" And the natural answer for us was yes, we can help. We had no idea the extensiveness of the help we could provide at the time, including not just enrolling people into plans, helping advise them on even things like Should they file their income taxes jointly or separately if they're married, right? That impacts your DTI and payment, all the way to getting the docs for mortgage closed without having to do a credit rescore. As I know, the big conversation in the industry today is like the cost of credit rising and all that. So that's how we entered the industry. And we just did our first product, onboarded about 2,000 loan officers across 100 different brands, not enterprise. And we realized the solution we have to work towards is helping lenders like PRMG identify when they can help a borrower systematically. And it's not just the LO coming when they need to manually and having to remember us. It's like creating an automated alert. And so I'm really excited because PRMG has rolled out a version of that.
Hmm.
And the more information we could put in front of an LO when it's relevant, and the more they have the resources and tools to help, the more we can change outcomes, not just for the borrower, but for the loans that a lender can pull through. I know that was like a really long introduction. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Chris, if I
That's
stole time.
that's amazing. And I have heard the story before, a couple years back. Love the story of how LoanSense came to be. And it really is demonstration of real world problems that we're facing on a daily basis. Before we dive too far into the product, Chris, I would like you to tell us a little bit about yourself, who PRMG is, and why you chose to partner with LoanSense.
Yeah, well, that's the easy part. But yeah, just quickly, I've been doing this business since I got licensed in November of 1987. So I'm that long tooth old man on the hill guy, I guess, right? And so started as a real estate agent, then loan officer, then president of my own company, mayor of my city, author of Financial Sense to White Picket Fence, which was published by the state of California and put as a course in all 110 California community colleges. Paul was on my board of directors, Paul Rosa, our founder and CEO, and he asked me in early or late 2010 to put on my for-profit hat back on and help build his retail. And the rest, as they say, is history. So when Kat, whose enthusiasm knows no bounds, approached me, I was you can't help but her enthusiasm for her wares is infectious. And as I listened to her, I thought to myself, I can't find a downside to what she's sharing, especially when you start looking at the numbers of upwards of 50% of our borrowers have student loan debt. And I'm always looking for arrows in my quiver that I can provide to the originators because the originators, they've got a difficult job. They claim I want no ceiling on my income, which conversely means they have no floor. And so they go out there and the only way they eat is they get to hunt and kill and dress and plate. And so I need to make it as frictionless as possible as an organization. That's my role. Well, one of the things we can do is give them good news to share. And so there's two things obviously that are heir apparent. Number one, CAT's system gives us phenomenal news to share to half of our borrowers. Hey, look, do you have student loan debt? Allow me to partner you with one of our great business leaders who can help determine whether or not we can lower your debt, eliminate debt, change the payments, help correct what's been misreported. And there's and because she's a proven commodity, again, we're simply doing nothing more than just sharing good news. And we're going to get into, I'm sure, obviously, just some of the. It's not just the fact that by lowering a payment that allows somebody to have greater purchasing power. For goodness sakes, even if we don't do a loan at that point in time on the mortgage side, but we give them great news and we help them, talk about winning an enthusiastic client for life. So yeah, for us, it's no brainer. She mentioned that we are because we have a massive roadmap when it comes to all things IT. And right now, AI bot calling through our CRM is priority number one. And so right now we are sending out alerts, and Kat's team is phenomenal. They are going above and beyond. We're sending out alerts, giving people the loan number, but they're actually following up and they're being great accountability partners as well. And we're getting rave reviews about the service levels from LoanSense at all aspects. Soon, as Kat mentioned, this will all become automated where they're going to be it'll be part of the CRM and it'll have a journey attached to it. But for now, while we're giving the alerts, with the loan number, Kat's team's following up, and that's making all the difference in the world for our originators.
That's amazing. And I know loan originators, and you can put opportunities in front of them. And one of the biggest problems is you can't get them to call. It
Apathy
makes no
reigns supreme,
sense.
doesn't it, Jody?
So it sounds like Kat and her team are an extension, they're loan officer assistants to your loan officers. That's amazing.
They really
Um,
are.
Kat, student loans are impacting about 50% of borrowers today, which is a massive number. And there also have been recent changes in the repayment requirements of federal student loans. Can you give us the big picture of why loan officers should care and what's the real impact on affordability beyond just what we have stated?
Okay, so the biggest thing right now, I don't think we need a message on why loan officers should care. I think it's more about getting executives who make tech product decisions to also understand what's happening in the market more than LOs because LOs are seeing 90-day lates hit. There's 12 million people right now not in repayment or on the pathway to going on default because they have been so many, it's been so many years since they've had to pay. And now people aren't getting the alerts. It's not even the borrower's fault because the servicer is miscommunicating, sending multiple communications. The borrower is unclear. They've canceled all auto pay. So borrowers who are like, I was set up on auto pay, it should auto pay. It's not auto paying. Before you know it, there's 90 days hit. And these are borrowers inactive pipeline. Like they pulled a credit. Initially, they didn't have a 90-day hit. Now they do when they're about to go to close. So you can
Mm.
imagine the crisis that's creating. So we here at LoanSense, in about 90% of cases, we can remove the 90 days late. It does take 45 days, so it's not going to be an immediate save. But if they can extend closing out, or if they haven't found that home yet, that cure in 45 days will help improve the credit significantly. And even though we don't touch credit, we work directly with servicer because we're not credit repair. We work with the student loan servicer specifically. We address that problem. That's a huge problem right now. It's a huge market across the industry. The second thing we do is beyond getting people in income driven and getting their payment down, one of the biggest wins for PRMG, the first client we helped was actually a public servant, a teacher who had already been paying over 10 years. And she's on a pathway of getting $183,000 of debt forgiven and getting her DTI from student loans down to zero. So that takes a little more than 21 days, but that cure is huge to affordability, especially in states like California, right? So identifying who actually qualifies, how do we help? And then having really, there's LOs that really go the extra mile and create networks, with teachers unions, with all these organizations, with employer groups. We have flyers. We have already created flyers. They can go market and speak to that audience. One is even doing a mailer. So there's all kinds of marketing opportunity besides getting the alerts out. We have an LO who came through and said they want to run their database so that they can use it to reprospect for every client who didn't move forward that has student debt. So there's all kinds of unique ways to help us help LOs, in this market, whether it's getting forgiveness, whether it's saving the 90 days late, whether it's identifying opportunities current in the pipeline, or even getting marketing assets.
Yeah, that is awesome. And Chris, from your perspective and PRMG's perspective, what made you decide to partner with LoanSense? I mean, beyond the differentiating yourself in the market, what problems were you trying to solve? Or was it just opportunistic?
I think it was, well, frankly, probably if I'm going to be honest, it's probably the latter. It was first brought to my attention as a resource. It's a circuitous route sometimes of how things get to my desk, but it was brought to my attention as a great resource. And I had a call with Kat, and as I mentioned earlier, her enthusiasm for what she's doing, just like whenever an originator has great enthusiasm for what they do, it's infectious, right? Borrowers are consumers, realtors, they're all driven to somebody who's demonstrating great strength and belief in what they do. Well, that's Kat in a nutshell. And so I was immediately drawn to her. But as I started, as just the logical side of me I start looking at, gosh, if I've got a loan officer in her example who could get a 90-day late in a deal that is now dead, get it cured in a reasonable period of time, or somebody who can actually have their payment reduced and therefore allow them to qualify for an extra, based on the numbers you mentioned earlier, an extra 50, 60, $70,000 more home. That's massive. That's a game changer. And so, yes, for me, it was a matter of, all right, there's no downside. Now it's just a matter of getting it on our roadmap for our IT department and getting it done. And so we've got phase one done. Phase two obviously will come right after we finish up. Like I said, our AI bot calling is probably number one, and that this will be right there right after. But we're already, even though we're only in phase one, we're seeing phenomenal success, and the loan officers absolutely love this. It's a gift, and like I
Yeah.
said, Jody, the fact that I can call a borrower up who has, again, half of our borrowers have student loan debt, and call them up and share something out of the blue of what we might be able to do for them, it's just an excuse to call with
Yeah.
nothing but great news.
Yeah. I've often wondered about this in with LoanSense and having an understanding of their product very early on is, we have a lot, there are a lot of people in the mortgage industry that carry student loan debt. And it's like just to impact and be helpful to the industry, if you're carrying a federal student loan debt, you should be checking out LoanSense just to you could potentially unlock not just more purchasing power, but to have more money in your pocket on a daily basis. I mean, TMC, and I know Kat from her experience, and Chris, just getting to know you in a short period of time, we all want to provide impact to the industry. So these are resources that we should also be using as well. So I want to point people in that direction because it's about relief. We've talked a little bit about, some case studies like at a high level. And Kat, I want you to like the public servant one. I don't think that people caught what you said.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I
dig
can
a
go into
little
it.
bit deeper in that
Yeah.
and restate what the impact to that borrower was.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so a lot of loan officers will get referrals of clients either through specific networks or realtors, right? Or some will be like, my wife is a nurse, so basically all of her network becomes my clients when they want to buy a house, right? So, 60% of the workforce in the US is either government or related to some kind of nonprofit. 80% of hospitals are nonprofits. Your average teacher, firefighter, like average municipal employee are all public servants. And even big lenders, like the biggest lenders, like bank lenders, credit union lenders, will try to talk, especially after COVID and having first responders and all that. There's special loan programs, there's doctor loan programs, there's all these niches, right? Well, all those people are public servants. And over 50% of our workforce, 63% in the US, are public servants. And so, whether you talk about the adjunct professor at the university to the school teacher, right? All those people who have taken on some form of education, whether it's associate degree level or a community college associate degree level, all the way to the master's, to the lawyer, to the doctor. Um, Again, the majority have opportunities to qualify for what's called public service loan forgiveness. So in the LoanSense process, we complete the process to get their payment reduced for mortgage. But then there's a secondary process that LoanSense does automatically, which if they're a public servant, we will go and certify all their employers so that they can get accelerated access to public service loan forgiveness, which means let's say they didn't know about this program. So they've been enrolling to reduce their payment, but they didn't do any of the paperwork to get access to loan relief within 10 years, which plenty of people come in. We file all that paperwork and get them a countdown to what their last payment. And it's usually very few payments they have to make because they've already been paying 7, 8, 10, 12, 15
Yep.
years. So we can get them access to that. And that's why one of the first clients through PRMG has got $183,000 of loan forgiveness in the pipe, because not only did we reduce her payment, but we then qualified her employers to get her access to public service loan forgiveness. So the impact for that LO, at the end of the day, they're going to remember that LO for that. Maybe will be remembered, but the idea is like that's reducing the debt to income, creating long-term financial health, as well as ability to stay in the home, right? And
Yeah.
so, Jody, I know you mentioned federal debt. We have a partnership to address private debt as well at the lowest interest rates, as well as the greatest approval rates, because it's a social impact fund backed by the state of New Hampshire. It's not like something you're going to find on the internet Googling. So public loans, I'm sorry, private loans. And second of all, I know PRMG already works with a product that helps with credit issues, but we are definitely adding to our roadmap, including if people have credit score declines. We've partnered with 3 HUD-approved housing counseling agencies to automatically schedule a complimentary call with a HUD counselor if if they're struggling with credit and budgeting issues. So, Chris, happy to work on that with you all as well if
Hmm.
you have a decline pipeline due to credit. And then lastly, what I was really moved by at the last TMC conference was understanding that 40% of high DTI declines can be cured through some kind of down payment assistance program. We're looking to be the most robust, borrower incubator in the industry. We're starting with the highest impact debt that could be reduced without the borrower putting in a dime, but we do want to move towards working and connecting HUD counselors so that
Yeah.
we can address credit. And we also do want to work on how do we also drive alerts, because the value LoanSense provides isn't just managing federal debt, but how do we drive alerts when
Yeah.
when an LO can help a borrower access down payment so that they don't have to be declined, right? When can we help address credit so that that could be saved from a decline? How do we be the most robust incubator in the industry? And how do we work in it's not just about a product, but how do we work in hand with an LO so that even if they don't remember, don't know, we send them an alert and we're there to help Sherpa the borrower through various reasons of decline. And of course, we start with student debt because it is the highest impact for
Yeah.
especially the first time buyer. I know I
Yeah.
talked about a lot there, but I
Yeah,
do
it's
want
a
to share
lot
the
to
product
unpack,
roadmap for
but
us too.
the one thing, like, I constantly get asked, and our lender members are constantly asking, how do we drive revenue? How do we solve affordability issues? How do we, there's like there aren't homes, so we can't necessarily solve for the lack of inventory, but this is an actionable way in order to help in the affordability bucket. And I think that we just need to keep like emphasizing that we're talking $183,000 of forgiveness, not reduction, not refinance, just poof, gone. And I can't imagine a better resource and to help loan officers. They also ask like, hey, I want a affinity relationship with a union of some sort. If that's public service, that is like a huge, valuable talking point for them to go in and talk about the student loan debt of the members of those unions. So I'll
Yeah, you
stop
could
on my.
use it to drive. Yeah, you could use it to
Mm,
drive special partnerships with
yep,
hospitals, employer groups, and
yep,
LOs are doing it every day. And PRMG has some really high
yep,
performing LOs that have established that, you
If I,
know.
yeah.
yeah,
And
if
I
I could
do want
jump.
to. Yeah, I want to pivot back to Chris, specifically around loan officers. Like, what are the loan officers? You've been using the product. What are loan officers saying? Like, what is your feedback? I can't imagine you have a problem with change management related to it.
Yeah,
So tell
yeah,
us how
no.
it's going.
So it's going phenomenal. And again, we're just scratching the surface. But Kat, you said something. Both of you said something that I just want to touch on. Look, I was a former mayor of my city. I was on the foundation board for the local regional hospital, and I was an originator as well. And so I was, to your point, Jody, I was always looking for ways to create affinity type relationships that would bring value to myself and my team. And so there's again nothing easier than walking into an elected official's office, schedule an appointment, and saying, "Hey, I would like to make you the hero of bringing potential debt forgiveness and student loans to your city's employees or to the hospital's staff." That's a no-brainer. And so if you come up with the right script, and one of the great things about ChatGPT is you could put in a few ideas and ask ChatGPT to take those ideas of loan sense and how to present it, put it in there and ask for a script, and it's going to give you one, for goodness sakes. There's no excuses. And when you're going out and you're giving free money away as an originator, that's your in. That's your door opener, if you will. And then of course you can prove your worth by bringing other products to the table. But anybody, no matter what company they work for, could do just that. If they got to partner with LoanSense. But I'm going to get over my skis here and say that it wouldn't surprise me if you created a presentation schedule where if I'm a loan officer and I've got an affinity relationship with the hospital and with a couple of cities and a couple of employers or the police union, the firefighters union, and then I said, hey, I'm going to have a class on this date at this time for 30 minutes. I could invite Kat and she'll come on a Zoom meeting. And it doesn't matter what organization you're with, come in and listen how you can actually potentially benefit from student loan forgiveness being a public servant. Anybody could promote that on Facebook or otherwise. So, and that's what I love about this idea is that people are constantly looking for ways to differentiate themselves and not have be a race to the bottom of who's going to be the cheapest person when it comes to Fannie Mae and Freddie type product. So differentiate yourself, bring massive value, and earn that loyalty, earn the business. So I love this. This has been phenomenal for us. And again, we're just scratching the surface, Jody.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like we need to do a partners webinar, Kat, and come back together for our membership and just talk about, Chris would love to have you join with that, just to help further go into the network about how to generate revenue and how to generate conversations because I so appreciate your collaboration, your willingness to share, and it's so important for our members to be able to continue to differentiate themselves and grow within the network. Before we wrap, real quick, doesn't have to be related to LoanSense, Chris, but what's on the horizon in 2026? What are you most excited about in general? It can be about LoanSense, but
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, obviously using the tools of like LoanSense are very, very important, but it's also, you know, with the advent of AI, and we've been working on this for over a year now with our partners, but with the advent of AI, making sure that we're set up to be able to make calls that our loan officers don't make. Sometimes they can't get out of their own way, and I am one of them. But
yep,
we can't dismiss the Pareto principle of the 80/20 rule that, 80% will have just too much apathy or fear to reach out and make those calls of their clientele that need to refinance. They need to take action, or they need to get in touch with Kat's team to be able to talk about debt forgiveness. On point, the bot doesn't have any call reluctance, and so
yeah,
it's today's. If you've heard it, it is wickedly smart and quick how it can
yeah,
overcome objections, call you and transfer a warm lead to you on the spot, use your Calendly and schedule appointments. So we're perfecting that right now. We're piloting it effective December 1, and we should have it rolled out on the first here of January for our team. And so that's probably the most exciting thing I would say that we're doing right now is just using AI to its fullest advantage to help schedule appointments for clients that have needs.
yeah. That's awesome, and that will be amazing to see. I've seen demos, and that was my first thing. Like this bot has no emotion, so you can beat them up as much as you want to. Their primary goal is to schedule that appointment, so they're going to get it done.
It's
So,
impressive.
yeah, Kat, quick last thoughts on what you're
Mhm.
most looking forward to in 2026?
Well, for us is helping originators. A lot of people don't talk about the psychology of borrowers, but if they get declined, half of borrowers won't come back for years, maybe a decade plus. So how do we help lenders defer the adverse action by taking an action on a borrower and defer when exactly they have to send out the adverse action, like give the borrower an action plan. And so for us, it's like, how do we move beyond student loans and help lenders create a more robust incubation besides student loans, beyond student loans, because that is what's going to bring, it's not the low hanging fruit, right? Everybody's
Yep,
chasing after them. Everyone can quote a
yep,
rate, but it's about how
yep,
do you get that above the
yeah,
little bit higher of the fruit. And so I love any lender, even if you're not our customer, you invite me to a sales call. I love to listen in because I love to hear what problems we can be help solving because this
yep,
is just one piece of incubating your borrowers. So
yep,
that's what 2026 holds for us.
yep. And I love that. And I love it's like, don't like people do the easy stuff just to get the glitz and the glamour from accomplishing the easy stuff. But the stuff that's really going to drive the industry forward is the hard stuff. And I appreciate that you're all working towards that, both on PRMG and LoanSense. Thank you both for your insights today. I love the passion for the industry. I love the energy. So you're welcome back to the show. We'll have you again. We'll
Awesome.
get the team working on a partner webinar. But thank you again so much, and thank you to our audience for hanging in there with us. If you have any questions, please reach out to Kat at LoanSense. Also, we'll see you next week, December the 16th. It's our last show of the year at 2 p.m. Eastern for the TMC network, and to the broader audience on LinkedIn at 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you are a part of the TMC network, make sure you get registered for Desert Disruption. We are so excited about our conference in February. Our early bird pricing does end on December 22nd. Don't call me on the 23rd and say that you missed it. You're going to have to pay the full boat. Sorry, that's how it works. We've given ample warning. So cheers to all of you. I'll see you next time on the SIP. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you.